Welcome to Nutty Buddy Sports.
Welcome to Nutty Buddy Sports, and this is just going to be my instant reaction to the trade that just went down between the Pelicans and the Portland Trail Blazers. I'm going to be doing a podcast later tonight with my friend Clint, and we'll dissect the trade a little more and probably grade the trade. And for both sides, let's just talk first about the New Orleans side of it. So they received CJ McCollum, as we can see on the screen, with Larry Nance and Tony Snell. So at first, when I saw it was just CJ McCollum, because I'm keeping up with the Woj bombs, I was like, wow, that's a lot for just McCollum. But when you put Larry Nance in there, it makes the trade a little bit more digestible. What this does for the Pelicans is this is a move to try to keep Zion. This is what they have picks. They might as well get their roster full of guys that can play basketball. Larry Nance Jr. to me can play basketball. He's a solid role player. And then McCollum is a really good secondary scorer. The only thing that I'm going to be interested to see is between him and Brandon Ingram. They kind of have the same game to me. Like they're both offensive scorers, good secondary scorers. They're not too big into playmaking. And neither one of them are known as defenders. To be perfectly honest with you guys, as far as Brandon Ingram goes, I've heard that he's gotten a little better on defense, but I haven't really watched Pelican games this year, being totally honest. But I do think that Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum are kind of like duplicates on the same team, and as far as their game goes, and that's sort of an interesting pairing to me. But I understand why the Pelicans are doing this, is because they have to show Zion they're for real, that they're willing to build around Zion Williamson, and that is what this trade is about more than anything. And this will either like really destroy the Pelicans, or it could fast track them into getting Zion back. Although I don't know. Last I heard, he was like 300 pounds. So that's a little tough. He needs to get back in basketball shape, it sounds like. Now, on the other end, so that's what I have for the Pelicans. I think it's sort of a necessary evil at this point, right? Don't you guys think the same? Like they have to do something to keep Zion interested in staying on this team. And CJ McCollum could be that guy. He may not be that guy. Who knows? And if nothing else, let's say if Zion doesn't like the fit with McCollum, McCollum's at least a good enough name where you could look around and trading him maybe in the future. But we'll see what happens there. Now, as far as the Pelicans, the Portland Trail Blazers. So there was just I think it was a Woj bomb where it talked about the Blazers are now looking to rebuild around Damian Lillard. And this is something I think people who have watched Portland play basketball have been asking for the last 2 or 3 years, because McCollum and Lillard, they're both under 6'3", and they kind of didn't work well together because they're both so short that even if you play good defense, like if you're 6 foot and you're guarding a guy that's 6'5" or taller, it's like the defense isn't even there, even if you're trying to play defense. And they're like the Powell trade they made last year. I don't think that was necessarily a good trade for the Portland Trail Blazers, because again, Powell was 6'3", going to a team that already had 2 guards that were 6'3" and shorter. So I feel like this move is like 2 years too late. I'm worried about Damian Lillard. I hope he's not going on the downspin of his career. He does have an abdomen injury. We'll see if he comes back this season. But Portland receives Josh Hart, Stadaransky, Nikhil Alexander Walker, Didi. I don't know who that is, honestly. And then a first-round pick that's protected, and then 2 future second-round picks. So the pick, let's talk about the pick first, because it's a very interesting concept here. if it lands somewhere between 5 and 14, the Blazers get this. So this is where it's sort of risky for the Blazers. If it's 1 to 4, it goes to the Pelicans. If it's anything over 15, it goes to Charlotte. So this is sort of like you might not get that first round pick. You do get 2 future second round picks. And I like Alexander Walker. I think he has a lot of potential. Stadaransky, he had a good sprint with the Wizards, but I don't think like he's a solid role player. Josh Hart, though, he's a really good role player to me. And having him next to Damian Lillard as the 2 guard who can shoot and play defense, I think that's going to work out for Damian Lillard. Really, what the Portland Trailblazers have done to me in this trade that is more significant than what they've acquired is the cap space that they have now received. So apparently they have 21 million now in cap space this season. And then next season, the off season, they'll have 60 million. So what they could do is they potentially could take a lot of these assets that they have accumulated and trade for a player right now. Let's just say, for instance, Jeremy Grant, who's like, what, 20 million the next 2 years, and you would still have 41 million or so in cap space to go after someone in the offseason, like maybe Ayton. Ayton's one that comes to mind. So you could pair Grant, Ayton, and Damian Lillard. That might be an interesting trio. So that's really what they've done, is really open up this cap space and the flexibility. But again, you know, when you look at here's the tweet from Adrian Woj. I'll just call him Woj. I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name because I'll butcher it. But overall, between the 2 trades between the Pelicans and the Clippers, they've now got enough assets to go after somebody important. So that could, like I said, that could be a Jeremy Grant this year, and someone next year even that could they could pick up in free agency that might be available that would cost 40 million a year in cap. And then you just now have Damian Lillard, Jeremy Grant, and whoever else. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting moving forward. So as far as like, if you want to know our takes as far as grades for this trade, or even if you would like to know our feelings on the other trades that were made this weekend, Caris LeVert and Norman Powell were both traded to different teams. I'm going to be doing a podcast with Clint later tonight. I'll have some clips here on YouTube, so please subscribe if you're interested in our takes on that. And then I will put a link down below with the podcast information so that you guys can find it. But me and 2 other friends recently did a trade deadline talk as well. So maybe I'll put that down there and you guys can listen to that if you're interested. Okay, thanks so much for listening. Like the video, share with your friends if you like what you see. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll talk to you guys soon.